Hello and welcome to Keep the Cup. What a display of batting we witnessed from the men in blue. They've notched up yet another record total. If you thought that they had saved all their energy for the semi-final, well then you had another thing coming, because 253 they got in the semis. They've bettered that. 255 is what the Suryakumar-led side has notched up in the all-important final of the T20 World Cup. Once again, it was that man, Sanju Samson, with 89 as the highest run getter for the Indian team. But contributions all along, you had half centuries from Abhishek, Sharma, the man who wasn't really in great form, but he also chipped in with a half century, gave a good base for the Indian team to then set up a big total. Later on, you got a half century from Ishan, Kishan as well, and then the 26 that Shivam Dubey gave you right at the death also helped India reach that record total of 255. I must admit that at one point it did look like 270, 275 is something that India could have reached, because they were going all guns blazing. There was a bit of a hiccup in the middle, a 4-over spell where New Zealand picked up 4 wickets, gave away just 28 runs, and that's ensured that 255 is where they were able to restrict India to. It's funny I'm saying restrict, because 255 is a total that any team would have asked for. If you had at the toss given the Indian team an option, you'll get 255, I think they would have grabbed it with both hands. Joining me on this broadcast will be Harbhajan Singh as well as Maninder Singh right here in the studio. Maninder sir, sabse pehle if we just look at the total that they've got in 255, I don't know, are you really excited, happy that it's done and dusted, or are you a bit tentative saying it could have been 270?
No, you can't say it's done and dusted, because in the semi-finals also we saw that we won by 7 runs after scoring 253. So it's not going to be, a cakewalk, but I think that's a big total. It's a big total. In the finals, chasing, I think New Zealand will need a big partnership from the top 2. Only then can they think of reaching the target, but it's not done and dusted yet.
What did you make of the surface? The team that will come out to bat second, they are in with a chance?
Well, they should think they are in with the chance, because, it looks a lovely surface to bat on. If there's dew factor, it's not going to be very easy for the bowlers. The ball comes onto the bat very nicely, when it gets wet. So it's not going to be, life is not going to be easy for the bowlers. But when you have that kind of a cushion, remember before the show we were talking about 230, 235 will give that cushion to the bowlers. But this is another 20 extra, which is a lot of cushion for the bowlers, and I think the Indian bowlers should feel pretty confident that they can defend this.
There was that phase that I spoke about in the middle, 4 overs, 4 wickets gone, 28 runs. The way the Indian batters were going at one point didn't seem like you will have any sort of a lull in the innings, but as it happened, those 4 overs kind of changed the balance of the team. What would you put it down to? Was it some outstanding bowling by Jimmy Neesham and the rest, or do you think India was a bit off the boil?
I think that was a brilliant over from Neesham. He was wearing brilliantly, and I think New Zealand fielding has been brilliant. They took some fabulous catches as well. So, but these kind of phases do come in cricket. I mean, if they don't, then India would have gone past 300. So these kind of phases do come in cricket, because they've also come to play cricket. They've also reached the finals. They must have done something nice to be here. You get a wicket or two when the batters are scoring runs so quickly. Then the fielding side, the bowlers start thinking that now we have a chance, because anybody who comes in will have that pressure. They'll have to score those runs as quickly as the top 3 did.
What did you make of that decision by the Indian team to send Hardik Pandya a bit higher up the order? Because you had a few other in-form batters in Tilak Verma as well as Shivam Dubey, but you went with a Hardik?
I would have also gone with Hardik Pandya, because he's somebody who can really tonk the ball, hit the ball hard, and he's worked very hard after his, that fitness problem that he had, that back problem that he had, and he's come back very strongly. So I would have also taken a chance with him, because he's somebody who can score runs quickly. Probably an off day for him. He took 13 balls to score his 18 runs, but then Shivam Dubey did the job. So, we were talking about X factor before the match started. And this is what this Indian team, T20 team, is all about. There's not one, there's not two, there's about 5, 6 X factors, and we saw them on the field today.
Okay, let's talk about those X factors. Let's start with an Abhishek Sharma. Firstly, Brave call by the Indian team to continue with him in the final, and he's repaid that faith.
Brave call and a brave innings as well. And this is what we were talking about, that if you keep backing a player like that of his ability, that confidence does come back. I think that illness that he had after that, it took him some time to recover, but he's a player to watch out for. And dropping him wasn't the right thing to do, and that is exactly what this Indian team didn't do. They backed him, and this is what a player like Abhishek Sharma can do, who wasn't in good form, but at the right time scored those runs for India.
Okay, we've got a few shots coming in from across the country. Celebrations have already started with the stellar batting display that the Indian team has put in Ahmedabad, but a bit premature, would you say, Maninder? Because it's a game of cricket at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a game of cricket, but I think the Indian cricket fans must be pretty confident that New Zealand coming in to chase a target of 256 is not going to be very easy for them. Not realizing that if the dew factor is there, the ball we already saw was coming onto the bat so nicely. When the ball gets wet, it's going to come even more better in the second innings when the team is chasing. But 256, when you're chasing that target, even if you get a good start, even if you get to a score of 70, 80 in the first 6 overs, you would still need that 14, 15 runs and over. And to do that consistently all throughout the match, I don't think it's going to be very easy for the Kiwis.
Word on Sanju Samson. If India are to win the trophy, and they are now odds-on favourite to do that after having notched up 255, is he then already the player of the tournament?
Should be. And can you imagine, he didn't play all the games and still become the man of the tournament. I mean, what brilliant batting and what, brilliant display. And, the best thing is when Abhishek Sharma was scoring those runs quickly, he didn't accelerate at all. He was just taking his time. And when Ishan Kishan came, that also helped with Ishan Kishan and Abhishek Sharma, the way they batted. That helped Sanju Samson to stay there. And then he put his foot on the pedal and started scoring runs quickly. I think he's a very matured cricketer. He's got a lot of experience and he used it fully today.
Okay, not too much time left before the Indian team comes out to bowl. We can already see Jasprit Bumrah warming up. Fair to say, Maninder, he's the key, huh? Jasprit Bumrah's 4 overs. Once again, could they be the decisive factor?
I think they're going to be. I think he's going to open the bowling as well, because you've got to get the first 2 batters out, and then you could put a lot of pressure on the Kiwis. So I think we will see the new cherry in Jasprit Bumrah's hand.
Okay, that is going to be very, very important. Those overs that will be bowled by Jasprit Bumrah, as Maninder just now said, that you'd want a Jasprit Bumrah to open the bowling, because initially you'd want to put pressure on the opposition team, and we know about New Zealand, it's the openers that really do the job for them. I believe we're also joined by Harbhajan Singh live on the broadcast. Harbhajan, what do you make of the total that India's put? Safe one? Can we already look to celebrate?
Yes, most definitely. I believe so. 250 is a big target, that too in the final. And I don't think it's going to get chased because, I've never seen such score get chased. And, it's 255. And I've never seen, 20 overs if other teams can go on and chase this kind of a total. If they do so, like England came really close, hats off to them. But Team India played well in the first half. They'll have to back it up with the ball now and make sure things goes their way and win convincingly from here.
All right, nobody is really discounting New Zealand out completely, because remember, still a game of cricket. England came within touching distance of that big total that India had scored. But you'd have to say at this moment, halfway stage, once you've gotten 255, the batting team that's done the job, you can feel relatively confident. I'm sure that's what Indian fans would be feeling.